Well, you guys, it has been a week. Yes, it has. It has been a fun week. Rather than working on all these projects that I always have going, I fell down the rabbit hole. So let me explain what I mean. When you're working in the round and you change color, like if you're doing a spiral and you change colors, you get this abrupt stop of one color. And then when you're done with that color, it's an abrupt stop. It looks kind of like a spring. You know, the lines aren't even. And that's something that kind of like bothers me a little. Like, there's got to be a way to make those lines come out even when working in a spiral, rather than, you know, chain one and then slip stitch to join and then chain one and move on to the next round. So I saw a stitch that was called a half color change. And that's where the bottom part of your stitch is worked with your current color, and the top half of the stitch is worked with the new oncoming color. So I was like, well, will that work? So I did a little experiment, and it does not work. What it does do, though, is look at how nice and straight those lines are. So, and that's working, whoops, that's working in the spiral. And it's just this, the little, simple little B shape. So yeah, it didn't work with that. Then I said, well, let me try it where, you know, I got a slip stitch to join, and on this one, I used a different color yellow, gave him a little smile, and it does look better, but a lot of people don't like the seam that makes. And it's not even a straight line seam. It kind of goes off in a diagonal direction. And on this one, I made his wings a little bigger, and Jenna's like, oh, I like the smaller wings better. And I'm like, who's making this, me or you? So, but I thought that the maize color was just a little bit too light for the bee. Or, well, before I go there, I thought the line was too straight. Now, if I was doing a flat project and I wanted a really nice line and didn't want to see the stitches connecting, then this is a perfect stitch. So I said, well, let me do the bee without the half color change. So I made him with Jenna's smaller wings, and of course he's got the little smiley face. And you can see where the stitches join. You don't get that nice straight line. See the difference between the lines here? And of course this one I did with the slip stitch to join so that I didn't have as bad of the jog. But the other thing I noticed with that half stitch color change, now these have the exact same amount of rows. Look at the difference in the shape. Like this one looks like, I don't know, like a Tylenol capsule shape. And this looks like more stubby. And I think I like this shape better than this long shape. So that's what we went with. And then I wasn't happy with the two colors, because you know what? We're never happy with what we have. So I decided, let me double up the strands and mix the colors. So I did a bigger one, same amount of stitches. It's just because the yarn is bigger. Or maybe I went a little bigger. I'm not sure. I don't remember now. But him I gave blue eyes and a stinger. So he is a little bit longer. So I think I did do more rounds. And then the bigger wings. So, and I like how the two colors blended together. It's like goldenrod, I think, and maize. But I liked how the two colors blended together. But that also meant I needed to use 2 strands of the black to keep the consistency with the thickness of the yarn. But I don't think I'll give them a stinger. I was trying it. What the heck? So we had these. So this is what sent me down the rabbit hole. I'm making those bees, and I got onto Etsy and I started looking at patterns, and I went on to Instagram and I was looking at patterns, and I was on YouTube and I was looking at patterns, and I'm like, oh, I want to make that, and I want to make that, and I want to make that. So I was limited. Wait a minute. Let me go in order. So I was limited on the colors I have in like the plush yarn. And like I had 2 shades of gray and a ruby red color, and then this multicolor with blues and yellows and stuff in it. So I'm like, I go on Etsy and I buy this pattern for a turtle, a baby sea turtle, but sunflower. And this one I bought from Happy Turtle Crochet. Well, I didn't do too well with the pattern. Not that it's a bad pattern. I was trying it with regular acrylic yarn, and it was written for the plushy yarn. But before I wasted what little bit I had, I wanted to try it with the acrylic, which I have an abundance of. And, well, needless to say, that ended up being a cat toy for Toby. So I got on YouTube and looked for a tutorial on how to do the sea turtle. Now, what had happened with my other one, the flower petals like curled up real tight. They didn't, it didn't look normal. And the legs were crooked and the head was off. It was just like somehow I got off on my stitch count, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? I thought I was doing it right, and it just didn't turn out good. So Toby got a new toy. So with the tutorial that I found on YouTube, I made this guy. And he turned out so good. Even with my limited color palette, with this light gray, I'm not sure the exact color, and this one is ruby red, I do know that. But he turned out so good. This I totally enjoyed making. So I said, I want to make another one. So I got out that other multi-color I'd picked up from Hobby Lobby on clearance, and still used my same gray, and he came out much bigger. But I love it. I love these little turtles. These are fun to make. So when I got finished with that, I also purchased this other pattern off of Etsy. Like I said, I went down this rabbit hole. And this one is the Mabel chicken, and it's from Oak and Marlow. But it's so cute, even with my limited palette that I had. Now, of course, I think I could have stuffed it more. I possibly could have used a little bigger of a hook, maybe. And I had my multicolor, I cut a little section out of the yellowish, orangish colored to be able to do the mouth, and I used the safety eyes on this one. But she turned out so cute, and this one was super easy. Now I'm hooked. I'm hooked. It's Yarn Week at Hobby Lobby, and I said, well, let me go see what Hobby Lobby has in these plush yarns. And I can pick some up. Well, they don't have a great selection. My area, I don't know if it's because it's Florida and it's hot here and they think people in the summertime aren't going to do this type of craft or whatever, but they have condensed their yarn section down so much. Like once upon a time, it was 3 double-sided aisles. Then they reduced it to 2 double-sided aisles. Now it is 1 double-sided plus a half of another aisle. So we're down to an aisle and a half of yarn at Hobby Lobby. And they have narrowed their selection so slim. The plush yarns that they did have that had any color options was a bulky 5 or a 4 weight. And most of these call for a 6 weight or higher. So I'm in this rabbit hole and I said, well, I'm going to pick up a little bit because I want to play. I want to have a fun week. I want to play. So I picked up a few colors, 2 different types. I got the 4 weight and then the 5 weight. The 6 weight, they didn't have any fun colors. And then I didn't want the real big stuff. I just didn't want the big stuff. So when I got home with my 5 weight, I made another turtle. Such a pretty blue in this tannish cream color. Now again, I think I could have stuffed him a little more. When I was stuffing it, it feels like it has enough, but then afterwards it's like maybe a little bit more. So I made 3 turtles and these are fun. I totally enjoyed making them. And I gave them some little blue eyes. So we have several bees, 3 turtles, which was totally a free pattern here on YouTube. And the one that I purchased on Etsy, I probably could use it, but I would have to do something different with the flower petals because they just I didn't want them. It was like they were pulling too hard. I don't know what I did wrong with the stitch. I'd have to really look at the pattern again. So the next thing was, I picked up some yellow and black. So I was able to do a bee in the plushie, but I gave him some green eyes. And I don't know, I think if I make another bee, I think I'm going to try bigger wings and putting them right next to each other instead of having them separated. And I did do this one where it was slip stitch to join instead of the spiral because, you know, that abrupt stop just bothers me. I'm weird. What can I say? So then I'm looking at Instagram. And you guys, I am like so bad at this. I can't tell you who made them or what. But if you go on Instagram and you just search amigurumi free patterns, these things will pull right up because they're real popular. So I came across one that was for a possum. So I made it out of acrylic yarn first because I have to see what the degree of difficulty is. Now, I don't have a limited palette on my acrylic yarn, but when it comes to pink, I have a limited palette. I had like this Pepto-Bismol pink that I can't seem to find anything to use it on. I don't know how I ended up with it, but I have it. So I tried, and basically it's a very limited sew pattern. You only have to sew on your ears and the little tail. All the rest of it is worked in one, like the little legs or a bobble stitch. So I did it in the acrylic yarn and I was not thrilled. See, now looking at it on camera like that, I see possum. But when I'm looking at it like this, I see pig. And I think it's because of that Pepto-Bismol pink. But this thing is so cute. So my colors, I did not buy a pink in the plushie yarn, but I had that nice cream color. So rather than doing his nose and tail in pink, oops, I got a little string to trim off there. rather than doing his nose and tail in pink, I did it in that cream color. And I think maybe just a little bit more brown in that color, more tan, would make it look really cute. But here, this is the 5 weight, and it does just kind of fit in the palm of my hand. I got this little tail here I got to trim off, so don't pay any attention to that. But it's cute and it's pretty easy. And it's a free pattern. Like I said, just search amigurumi free patterns on Instagram and this comes up. It's like super popular. So we got the possum or opossum or whatever. Then, okay, and then through Instagram, but it led me to a different site. They had these little penguins. Isn't he cute? I mean, this one, or we'll call her she since I kind of use this mauve color. She came out really cute and it was fairly easy to do. You know, of course, being the first time working with a pattern, there's a learning curve. So, and the only thing that you're sewing on, of course, is the 2 little wings and the little feet. And they're basically just doing your magic circle and 6 single crochets in them, and then you have wings and feet. And yeah, so we have this cute little penguin. Now, of course, when I said to John, do you know what this is? He's guessing everything but a penguin because he says penguins are black and white. When you're making it, penguins can be any color you want them to be. Okay, so the sun just went behind the cloud a little bit. All right, so we had the penguin, and I found that through Instagram, which took me to a different website. Now, I will say one thing about some of the free patterns. I need it to tell me I'm doing 13 rows. And then I needed to say, put the safety eyes in between rows, I don't know, 7 or 8. I need it to tell me that. Or I'm just going to keep going following the directions. And the next thing you know, I can't put my eyes in. Or can't sew something on that's supposed to be sewn on. So, not that they're bad patterns, but I need to treat me like I'm the first grader that needs to be told step by step. I need to know when I'm going to add this. When do I start stuffing? Because at some of them you get to a certain point and now it's difficult to stuff because you didn't stuff those little extremities or whatever from the beginning. So some of them can be interesting. And then some of them, being free patterns, are written so well that it's just a joy to do. So then I just Googled jellyfish pattern and I came up with this one, and this one's done out of acrylic yarn. And this, the little, what would you call them, tentacles? It's just a single crochet. The little tentacles are just a single crochet, and it spins, you know, twists on and on. It's got this nice little ruffle edge. You know, it was fairly easy to do, but if I was to use this exact same pattern with the plush yarn, it would end up ginormous because it's a lot of rows. So it's a lot of work with the acrylic yarn to get a palm of the hand type item. But Jenna wants this one, so I'm gonna let her have it. So I looked again, and I believe it was Instagram. I don't know. I was trying to bookmark everything, and some of them, you know, because it's annoying, my phone would like turn itself off. Then I gotta pick up the phone, turn it back on, go back into Instagram, find the post again, to see what's next. So some of them I would do screenshots and then send over and like print it out so that I could read it. And I didn't do that with this one. But so this jellyfish is with the plushy yarn, and it's the 5 weight. Now a 6 weight would of course be a little bigger. And I gave it blue and purple and green for its little tentacles. And this one was 2 double crochets in each one, so it had a better spiral. But it came out a little bit smaller because there wasn't as many stitches, so it was super fast and super easy to make. Now it is not completely no-sew because you make the bottom separate and then whip stitch it in. But it makes it a lot easier for attaching these. Like I just pulled the 2 ends of the yarn through and tied myself some knots, and they're in there. But that was pretty easy, and that's a nice pretty green color. That is, oh, I had the papers here somewhere so I could tell you colors, but I don't know what I did with them. It's green. Yarn Bee, whatever Hobby Lobby has for Yarn Bee. So then I was like, I want to make something different other than the little animals. And on Instagram again, I came across this little monster pattern. This one doesn't use safety eyes. You have to make all the different pieces and sew them on, so it takes a little bit more time because there's a few attachments. But isn't that just the cutest? Now, my thinking was, since like this was a 5 weight, this part, because you make it separate and then you have to attach it on, and it came out kind of big, like maybe this part should be the 4 weight, or if you're using a 6 weight with this, this should be a 5, so it's not so bulky. But then you just like embroider a smile and give it a couple of teeth. It's got the little gray horns. So, and all these, this has to be sewn on, this has to be sewn on, you have to sew that on. But this one, if you were giving it to a small child, they could play with it. You don't have to worry about the safety eyes. But I think definitely using a smaller weight yarn to do this part would make it not bulge out so much. See how much that bulges out? I mean, you want some dimension. You don't want it totally flat. But I don't know. That was just a thought. So, but that one turned out cute. I'm telling you, I went down a rabbit hole. Okay, so then on Instagram again, this was one of those ones that did not tell me when to put the eyes in. And I wasn't happy. Because it was to the point where I couldn't go back and put the eyes in. So what I ended up doing was just sticking the eyes through the stitch with a little bit of glue on it. And this'll just like forever be mine, never go anywhere else. I wouldn't gift it to anyone because those eyes would probably come out. But it's a duck. Now I thought this was a little big, but you know, ducks have big beaks. And it's supposed to have a hat, and then it carries a little purse, if you ever see it on Instagram. But if you do, and you follow the pattern, before you get down, you're working upside down. You start here. And when you start to get to where it tells you to do decreases, that might be when you want to put your eyes in. Just saying. But what I found was if I sewed the beak on first, and then I had to put the eyes in after the fact, it was a little easier to get the eyes in the right place. So you might want to make the beak, and when you're going to place your eyes, have it where you can, you know, like pin it on, and then you can space your eyes right. But yeah, this one was a frustrating one because the whole eye thing. But I mean, they're giving the pattern to people for free. You can't really, I don't know, you can't really expect it to be perfect, but I don't know. But yeah, it's cute. It's a duck. Then another free one that was on Instagram. And of course I didn't have the right colors. My palette was limited. And this one was fairly simple, and it did tell you where to put the eyes and things like that. So that was nice. And this one I did, it's in a 4-weight of the like polyester velvet type thing, but it's a blueberry. And it's kind of got a purpley glitter to it. And the eyes, I have a white gel pen. I just kind of gave it a little eye glitter to hopefully help them show up, because of the eyes being black and this being such a dark color, it's kind of hard to see them. But that's a little cute idea, a little blueberry. Again, a free one on Instagram. So after studying there making those, again, I went back on Etsy and I purchased some patterns. Now I haven't made them all yet. I've played with a few. But I did another chicken with, Jenna went to Walmart yesterday and I asked her to check and see if they had any of the 6 super bulky. And they did, but they were limited on color. So she's texting with me back and forth, and I said, okay, get me a black, get me a white, get me a red, and then pick me a variegated, which we all know they're not the easiest things to do. But the part she didn't read is I said, think jellyfish, because I thought it would look pretty cool to have the color changes in the jellyfish. But she didn't see that part, so I'm not super thrilled about the colors that she picked, but I'll find a use for it. So I made another one of the Mabel chickens. Now, the pattern says to use an 8mm hook. When I use the 8mm hook, I have holes. So I think I did this one with the 5.5mm, and it still ends up kind of small. I mean, it's bigger. It's bigger than this one, but it's like bigger tall rather than bigger round. So the 8mm, I get holes, so maybe I'll try the 7mm and see what happens with that. But even with the white, there's white chickens. So, you know, again, my limited color palette. So I played with that late last night. But I had purchased some other patterns off of Etsy. And I got like 5 of them from Teresa's crochet shop. Now, a couple of them were specifically for the plushy yarn and some were for the acrylic yarn. But I wanted to do like some sea creatures and not just the, you know, the axolotl that everybody has and the octopus that everybody has and the jellyfish that everybody has. I wanted to do some other ones like, you know, a shark or a whale or, and not the cutesy whale, a real looking whale. You know, a few things like that. So the first one I tried, okay, I was going to show it last, but I'll show it now, was an orca. And this was not easy, but it was not written for this type of yarn. So you make the body and then you crochet the white part. And again, with this thick yarn, it's really difficult to do, especially to attach it. But okay, so you make the black and it says attach the eyes. And so I attached the eyes where it said, and I didn't really have big enough eyes, so I've got some eyes on order. And then it says to attach, make these fins, the side fins, and attach the fins like 4 rows from the eyes or whatever. So I attach the first one and I go to take a look and it's like right in the middle of his head. So I had to struggle and get that out. And so I do it, I count over and I put it on, then I do the other side, count over and put it on, but they look uneven to me. Even though, now that could have something to do with because you're working in that spiral. So like the row goes up a little higher, maybe, I don't know. But it's fine. I struggled with this. And then it was, then it was make the belly. And my pins weren't holding it in place because it was so thick and it was pulling, and I'm trying to get it up close to the body. So that took me some time working at that, pulling at it, trying to get it to stay in place, stitching on top of it, so this took some time to add that part. And then adding the top fin, I got it in the wrong spot. I was too far back, so I had to pull that out again and then work it up. Now I've got so much work into this, it's like I have to undo this. So I sat there and fiddled with it to make sure I got it undone. And then the little tail fins was the last thing to add, and the eye spots. I'm not sure what you'd call them, but those were like the last things. But it's a good size, it's taller than my head. But I think if I look at the pattern and like compare this stitch count to this stitch count, that I could do it to where I can just do color changes in the round instead of having that big extra piece of sew on, because that made it take so much time to do. So I'm gonna see, not today, probably not this week, but at some point I'm gonna see if I can do it to where this is not a separate sewn on piece. But that's my whale. And from the same shop, Teresa's Crochet Shop, this one was super easy. This one was fun. This was the last thing that I did last night. And after struggling with, these are the only 2 things that I did yesterday. This one took a long time. But after struggling with that, I was like, I need something fun. So she has this little stingray pattern, and it was very easy to do. Now this is, of course, using the 5 weight. Well, actually, no. I used the 6 that I had on hand before. It's from Premier, and I can't think of the name of it. I am so sorry. So this dark gray was a 6, and this white is a 5, because the 6 in the gray and the 6 in the Bernat that Jenna picked up for me yesterday is hugely different in size. So I went down to the 5 on the white and the 6 on the gray, and they were pretty close. So he's got eyes, he's got little specks, got a little tail. It's small and cute. This one was quick. Like if you were wanting to make a bunch of these, you can get a lot done in a couple hours, because this one was quick. And that was also from Teresa's Crochet Shop. Now I purchased a couple of other patterns from her. I don't think I've printed them all out yet. The Shamu, that's a name, the orca. So I got the stingray, the whale, a hammerhead shark, but that's written for the acrylic yarn, so that might have a degree of difficulty to it. And I bought 5 from her. I don't remember what the other ones were. Oh well. So then the very first one that I bought, that I thought was just so cute, and it was on sale, and when I was looking through them, I'm like, oh, I better buy that right now because it's going to go off sale in a couple of hours. And I wanted the discount because it was like 50% off. Oh, I remember what the other one, it was a manatee I got from her, and I don't remember the 5th one. But this thing was so cute, and it's funny because it's made to be, or designed to be, a keychain. But I wanted it bigger than a keychain, but I just liked how it looked. So I was just like, well, maybe I can add a few extra rows to the legs and a few extra rows to the body and see what happens. So the pattern is from, on Etsy, Mikado, M-I-K-A-D-O, Mikado. It looks like that. So it's supposed to be tiny. And so I did the head first using the 6 from Premier Parfait. It's velvety feeling. And the head turned out pretty big. And I was like, oh, okay. So then when I started on the arms, I stopped at where the pattern said to stop. And I'm like, oh no, these definitely need to be longer. So I added a few more rounds. And then I did the same thing with the legs. I stopped where the pattern said to stop, and I'm like, these definitely need to be longer. And then I added a few rounds on the body itself. But look at my voodoo doll. He, she, it, whatever. It turned out so freaking cute. This one I made this morning while I was waiting for my hair to dry so that I can do my video. But I just love this guy. It turned out so cute. And then, like, the pattern, if you were doing it the size the pattern calls for, you'd be, to make all the sutures and everything, you would be using regular needle and thread. But I used a four-weight acrylic and did that so that they would stand out on this gray. And my original thought when I bought the pattern was, oh, I could just do a couple of rounds at the bottom, change the color and come up the legs and make it look like it's wearing pants. And I totally forgot about that today, that's what I wanted to do. But they would have been ruby red pants because that's the color that I have. That would go with this yarn. They turned out so stinking cute. I love this thing. This is great. So I even gave him a little suture across the back. And I don't know. This is adorable. It is it's Little Voodoo is the name of the pattern. But using the super bulky yarn and then just adding a few rounds on the arms and the legs and in the body. And it was only a couple. Like if it said to do 3, I may have done 5. If it said to do, I don't know. I just did it till it looked right because I did the head first. So I had that to be size proportioned. And I don't know. I think he just turned out cute. And the nice part about this pattern, the way they wrote it, you don't put anything together. You stuff it. Then you sew your face. And you're going to sew all your details on the body. Then you assemble it. That was nice because it made it a lot easier, like for tying off the yarn. And I don't know, it just, I really liked the way this one was written. And it was easy to adjust to make it to a bigger size. Cute, cute, cute. So, yeah, I told you I went pretty far down that rabbit hole. And yet, Saturday, Jenna talked me into doing this other tutorial, and it's from a particular anime movie that she just went and saw not too long ago. She got some pictures for me so I can see it. And you need like 5 shades of pink. Well, I had 2. Well, I had 3, but that Pepto-Bismol pink is not going to be part of this. I just, I can't deal with working with that. That's probably going to be one of those that I give away, donate. Because I'll never use it. I just do not like the shade of pink. It's one of those, it bothers you to work with it type of pinks. So anyways, I started the tutorial for this, but I needed a total of 5 shades of pink. I had 2. I ordered on Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember. the other shades that I needed. And I was just like, well, I'll work on what I can with the 2 colors that I have before I need the next. Well, I came to a dead halt right at the beginning of it. The first day, I'm out of yarn. And it was supposed to have been delivered Saturday. Well, good old Ybor, whenever anything packages goes to that distribution center in Ybor City, it could be there for a while. Well, it finally showed up today, so I have to climb out of the rabbit hole and get back on that tutorial so that Jenna can have her item and I can mark that off my list. And then I still have my little granny square project that I'm doing, and I have my filet crochet puppy blanket that I'm doing, but I didn't want to work on those. I wanted to have some fun, and let me tell you, I had some fun. I really did. I enjoyed this so much. And yeah, we just totally went down the rabbit hole. All right, you guys, I am going to have to say farewell for now and put all these little stuffies away somewhere so that Toby won't eat them. And okay, so if you want to hang out some more, if you click on this link right over here, it will take you to the next video, and I will see you over there.